But I'm also worried about how I didn't tell Jen that my family is looking a bride for me for arranged marriage.
So, with Jen having just arrived in India, but Rishi's family not knowing that she's his fiancé, Rishi is going to have to juggle a lot to keep everyone happy. How's he going to manage this? Well, his solution is to lie to everyone.
Why don't you understand this? I can't be a bad guy. I don't want to.
Really? Because you kind of seem like an ass right now.
It looks like Jen has reached her boiling point, but to understand why, we need to rewind back to the start of this episode. Jen arrived in New Delhi last night, and this morning she's hopped in a taxi for a 6-hour drive to finally be reunited with her fiancé Rishi in Jaipur.
Do you think it's crazy that I'm marrying an Indian guy that I haven't seen in 2 years? Is it crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Oh!
While Jen's freaking out and chatting the ear off the driver for the next 6 hours, let's see what Rishi's up to in preparation for her arrival.
वो आएंगे कुछ लोग
Gone.
और तो यहाँ मुल्लीपुरा है जयपुर में ही वो ऐसे ही आ रहे हैं देखने के लिए
Jen doesn't know my mom start to look some girls for arranged marriage with an Indian girl. I don't want to share anything about this to Jen because she's little sensitive.
Ah, yes, the potential arranged marriage proposals that Jen doesn't know about. I'm sure she'll take it well, especially considering her history with insecurity and jealousy. Great plan, Rishi. Oh, and let's not forget that Rishi's uncle gave him an ultimatum last night. He has to get married by the end of the year.
जरूरी है तो इस साल में जो भी व्यवस्था होती है जैसा भी होता है वैसा करना है.
So, in a bid to get Rishi married up, Rishi's mum has been trying to help him. She's organised for local Indian girls to come and meet him to see if they connect.
My mom is always looking bride for me for arranged marriage, but I'm keep pushing her back because I already engaged with Jen.
जिम से जल्दी आ जाऊंगा तो मैं देख लूंगा.
I don't think saying, if I get home early from the gym, I'll meet them, is what anyone would call pushing back, Rishi. That's just called trying to avoid, and not particularly well, may I add. But we know his family are depending on Rishi to get married as soon as possible because they want a daughter in their family to help with the household. This is pretty standard within traditional Indian families. The daughter-in-law will take over running the house and all of the domestic duties.
और मैं भी कहाँ तक करती रहूँ काम
क्योंकि मम्मी ने आज करते करते इतना टाइम हो गया.
हाँ मेरी भी उम्र हो गई है भाई करनी तो है ही तो ये होती है हर माँ बाप को यही रहती है कि भाई मेरा बच्चा शादी करे फिर पोते पोती हों ऋषि के लिए अब इतनी एज हो गई इसकी भाई.
They may not know Jen, but they're literally describing a woman who's the complete opposite of her in every single way. It's painting a really dire picture on whether Jen and Rishi will work out. Like seriously, can you imagine Jen cooking for Rishi's joint family household, cleaning up for them and having kids? I don't think that's very likely, do you?
I'm not going to do the 2.0 kids and live in a house in the suburbs. That's just not me.
I haven't told about my and Jen relationship because she will not understand because there is a culture difference, language barrier, and the age difference.
There's already so many barriers in the way between Rishi, Jen, and happily ever after. I think adding children to the mix, something which seems incredibly important to Rishi's family, might end up being the straw that broke the camel's back. Now, kids don't appear to be particularly high up on Rishi's priority list at the moment. He seems too preoccupied with swerving his mother's questions, evading any commitment to meeting potential suitors, and running out of the house pretending to go to the gym.
I'm telling my mom that I'm leaving for the gym, but in real, I'm gonna meet with Jen at the apartment which I chosen for her.
Not only is this really teenage-like behaviour from Rishi, but the way he's interacting with his mum really shows a cowardly side. His secret fiancé is minutes away from arriving, yet here he is, still letting his mum think that he may meet potential suitors this afternoon. He just can't seem to say no to her. I'll see, it depends what time I get back. And it becomes abundantly clear that very soon Rishi is going to have to make a decision between Jen and his family, especially as now they're all in the same city.
Jen is the only woman for her that I risked my relationship with my family. So Jen is worth for all of this risk.
Watching this, we get to see the juggling act that Rishi's playing while he's waiting to see Jen for the first time in over 2 years. He's nervous, he's excited. It's a huge moment for the two of them, and yet he seems like he's riddled with guilt because he's had to lie to his mum to be there.
I'm not taking breath properly right now. Something is going on in my mind too. I started my day with a lie.
So, with all this going on, while Rishi is obviously worried about some pretty major issues that could ruin his relationship with his fiancé and his mum, what's Jen most concerned about?
What if I'm not as attracted to him as I thought I was? What if he's not attracted to me anymore? That would be probably the worst case scenario.
Yeah, physical chemistry is important, sure, but is that really your worst case scenario here, Jen? I can think of at least 5 other major things that you should probably be more worried about at this very moment.
Hey!
Oh my God, oh my God.
Aw, I'm a sucker for romantic reunions, especially when I have a feeling the happiness isn't going to last very long. Now, I don't quite know what I was expecting here, but I didn't expect him to be quite so public with his affection. I thought maybe he'd be concerned that someone he knows might see them. But in the moment, that didn't seem to be an issue for Rishi.
Magic just happened now.
That was next level. That was a next level kiss. I was like, wow, maybe he did miss me a little. I'm overwhelmed with everything, and I'm definitely still attracted to him, no doubt.
Okay, I don't think we need to worry about sexual chemistry. I think that side of things is going to be just fine, Jen.
This is your room.
Oh my God! Oh, that's so sweet!
Nice, but not tastier than you.
Okay, guys, you've got to stop. Rishi, think of your mum. You're going to give the poor lady a heart attack if she ever sees this. So, day 1 of their reunion seems like it was a huge success. They're so happy to see each other, and the chemistry is bubbling over to a point where I'm a little bit uncomfortable, to be honest. But then, Jen says the most unexpected thing.
Maybe I'm not quite ready for you to spend the night yet because I kind of want to take things a little more slowly.
Okay, so aside from Rishi's baffled expression, I'm proud of Jen for this decision. We know she has a pattern of rushing into things and focusing on the wrong aspects of her past relationships. So for her to want to slow things down and make sure she's comfortable with Rishi first, well done, Jen. Congratulations. Is that growth and maturity I see?
Even though it's been 2 years and Rishi's really good looking, I'm really attracted to him, some of the doubts that my friends and family have expressed have started creeping in.
Okay, not quite the reason I was hoping for. Here I was hoping for growth, but it turns out she's falling victim to those pesky insecurities again. With that being said, if clearing the air with Rishi is what will make you comfortable, Jen, then you absolutely should do that. It's long overdue.
I just don't want to have to worry about what if you get too comfortable, spending the night here and us hooking up and you thinking like, well, why do we need to get married?
It seems like Jen's doubts over whether or not Rishi will back out of the marriage are resurfacing. So she asks Rishi, is he okay to wait for sex until after they get married? And while he seems unsure at first, the fact that he accepts and respects her decision is a good sign. But the thing is, if Jen's insecure, then using sex for currency like this, well, that's not going to solve those insecurities. Not really.
Why buy the cow if you can get the milk for free? You know what I mean? Like, it would be so much simpler, right?
Jen, you're right, and I get what you're trying to say, but that's a rather unfortunate metaphor because don't forget, in India, cows are a holy animal. He does like you, but you're nowhere near being holy. You're not even worth telling his mum about, which raises the question, how much exactly does Rishi like Jen?
because she care about me, care about my feelings. She understand me and she always like support me. So Jen is worth for all of this risk.
Which is all well and good, but when asked directly how long it will be until they can get married, Rishi's answers are disappointing.
We have to like present you in front of my family, but I don't want to like in a hurry. You can visit at my home to let them comfortable with you.
Yeah, I bet you don't want to hurry, Rishi, because that involves being brave for Jen and honest with your family. Frankly, you don't appear to have much of either of those attributes. So what is Rishi's plan? Well, he wants Jen to start coming round and randomly hanging out with his family. He wants his family to become friendly with her, so it won't be a huge shock when he reveals they're actually engaged. Rishi is afraid to rip off the band-aid and just be honest. Instead, he wants to go about it very slowly, only he doesn't have much time.
Rishi's got a lot of family and society pressure on him, so I'm gonna follow his lead. But I only have 4 months on my visa, so the clock is ticking.
Now, when we join them the next morning, things are looking a little clearer. Jen has taken off her rose-coloured glasses. Yet again, she's realised that Rishi has let her down. He was meant to stock the apartment with essentials. Right now in India, in Jaipur, it's winter. It gets quite cold at night, and Rishi didn't even leave Jen a blanket.
That combined with the fact that there's no toilet paper in the bathroom and towels, even though Rishi was supposed to make sure everything was here, just the basics.
The evasion king himself, Rishi, managed to sneak home last night after his family had fallen asleep. Now he's trying to distract a freezing and grumpy Jen with an impulsive yoga session on the roof. Rishi does what he does best. He avoids confrontation, and Jen is beginning to notice this habit.
I'm a little frustrated that Rishi's just sweeping this under the rug. I wish he was a little more empathetic to what I'm saying instead of prioritizing yoga right now.
So what's with the rooftop yoga, Rishi? Well, it turns out Rishi believes that yoga is a great way for he and Jen to reconnect. In particular, he thinks this might be the solution to the lack of trust that Jen has in him.
It's another way to build a trust over your partner, so she can just rely on me and believe on me that okay, he will hold me in any way.
Could he have built back up the trust by listening to Jen's complaints or buying her toilet paper? Well, yes, but where's the fun in that? It's much more fun doing an aerodynamic trust exercise. And I guess it must have worked because Jen feels comfortable enough to bring up something that's been bothering her.
Over the last couple of years when we've been apart, have you hooked up with somebody? Like, just tell me, like, you're a good-looking dude. You're like a personal trainer.
Jen doesn't feel good about herself for asking that question. She thinks her insecurities have gotten the better of her, that her friends have got in her head. But after 2 years apart, this is a normal, healthy question to ask, especially now knowing how important intimacy is to Rishi. Was he really able to live without this intimacy for 2 years?
I told you before as well that I was like totally engaged myself into my work. It was like 16 hours working, so I didn't have time to this kind of things. I was not available for anyone.
There's something about that answer that doesn't sit right with Jen. She readjusts her question to ask, have you chatted to anyone online with the intention of hooking up? And of course, we know that Jen's friend attempted to catfish Rishi without much success.
You haven't chat with people that potentially you could hook up with.
I got a lot of compliment from my online client, but not trying to like come in a relationship.
It seems like the yoga was very, very beneficial to Rishi because Jen now buys his story. For now at least, there's no concrete evidence that he's cheated on her. So despite what her friends might have her believe, she's just gonna have to accept that he's innocent, although that doesn't come easy to her.
I trust you, but I want you to trust that if I find out that you're lying to me, we can't be together.
Now, while Rishi may not be guilty of infidelity and cheating, that doesn't make him innocent. In fact, far from it. Rishi is still lying to Jen's face about his family arranging marriages for him. He's also lying to his family about being engaged. Both of these are very wrong, and they both have the potential to blow up in his face.
But I'm also worried about how I didn't tell Jen that my family is looking a bride for me for arranged marriage.
I agreed to be introduced to his family as a friend for now, but I just moved halfway across the world to be with him. He better not take too long to tell them the truth.
So how exactly does Rishi plan to introduce Jen to his family as just a friend? Well, he wants her to dress up in Indian clothing. Then he'd like her to come over and meet them casually. Understandably, Jen is having trouble understanding how that might be considered casual.
It's a very big, impactful thing if she can wear an Indian dress. Because according to the family, she's adopting the culture.
Now, Jen is worried about wearing Indian clothing. As a Westerner, she thinks that if she just shows up at Rishi's family home wearing Indian garments in the middle of the day, they're going to immediately suspect that something's not quite right. This is especially true as Jen has already met Rishi's family at Rishi's sister's wedding. So why would Rishi want to reintroduce them so formally?
I've met Rishi's family once before at Rishi's sister's wedding 2 years ago, but they didn't know that we were in a relationship. I think maybe there's a communication breakdown here because you want to like doll me up, but then you're like, but just as a friend.
Rishi's not doing a great job of explaining himself here. It seems like he wants to introduce her looking feminine and graceful in an Indian way. He wants to soften her Western edges, with the plan being that they think of Jen in a positive light. But his plan isn't one that Jen can understand, and it ends up with Jen getting overwhelmed and frustrated.
This is really confusing to me, and I'm used to the confusion, but you gotta stop, because this is a big deal. She's going to think that we're in a relationship, and that is not what you're trying to do, right?
The whole charade of having to fake being his friend, before then being his girlfriend, before then being his fiancé, before hopefully becoming a wife, is a lot to take. In Jen's mind, if she's going to go to all of this effort to dress up and meet his family, then it's going to be obvious that they're together anyway. At which point, it's not that big a leap for Rishi just to be honest with them, to tell them that he's in love with her and he's asked her to marry him.
Maybe they can don't let me out from the house.
Did you just say they're not gonna let you out of the house?
That's not exactly the manliest answer after you've flown halfway around the world to be with him. Rishi is basically saying, sorry Jen, I can't tell my mum about you in case she grounds me. Of course, while I'm joking and making light of the situation, I'm sure that Jen knows that it's much more serious than this. She seems to appreciate how important a tight-knit family group is in Indian culture. She understands that her fiancé doesn't want to disappoint his family. But at the same time, Jen is angry with Rishi, and she has every right to be.
And then I realized what I'm really upset and angry about is the fact that we're still having to lie about what our relationship is.
This is where things take a turn for the worse. Jen is angry and upset. Rishi can't do anything to make her feel better, because the only thing that would improve her mood requires honesty, and he's not ready for that. So instead, Rishi starts spouting what he's probably told her 1,000 times before. He's the head of the family. He has responsibilities, and it's just not that easy. But Jen is done with hearing his excuses.
Why don't you understand this? I can't be a bad guy. I don't want to.
Really? Because you kind of seem like an ass right now.
You are not getting me.
Jen is 100% right. By trying not to be the bad guy, Rishi has ended up lying to both of the women he supposedly loves the most in the world. He's wasted their time, whether that's with Jen and the relationship or his mother and arranging different suitors. He might have the muscles and the brawn, he might be a personal trainer, but the truth is, Rishi is a scared little boy and it's blowing up in his face.
I don't want to meet your family anymore.
I was worse in my communication. To say my mom directly that we are a couple and we are engaged and she is my fiancé, they will be like not happy with that.
Rishi needs to come to terms with the fact that no matter what Jen wears or how she acts, no matter how slowly she's introduced to his family, the chances are his mum probably isn't going to be happy. But surely he knew that when he proposed to Jen, and it's becoming obvious he's going going to have to make a choice between the two of them.
I have a visa until X date. I'll be here until then. You let me know when you want to be honest with your family about us.
But very soon.
Bye.
Jen has done the right thing by setting boundaries. If Rishi wants to be with her, he needs to be honest with his family, because at this point, it's completely unfair to Jen. She has done everything she can to make this relationship work, and it's time for him to step up. Rose petals on the bed aren't going to fix this.